Tonight is October 1st, and what a great way to start October is the release of the very first episode of 2020's new version of Higurashi When They Cry. Aloha! Welcome to Cyntillating Reviews, and tonight we will be reviewing what I think is probably and hopefully going to be the greatest redemption of a very, very old story now coming back to life, Higurashi When They Cry 2020. When I discovered that Higurashi would make its epic return after so many years, I said, holy crap. I got so excited, I got ready, I am like so full set for Higurashi When They Cry. This story did confuse some of my friends just because for those that have seen its predecessor in the past, after you see a certain episode and then the next episode later everybody comes back to life. And you're thinking, what the hell is going on right now? So hopefully tonight I will be able to answer just a little bit of your questions on why the plot of Higurashi is set that way and what my thoughts are for Higurashi When They Cry episode 1 that got released on Funimation today. This episode and later episodes will be in style of a podcast. So if you want to minimize my video while doing something else while listening to me, that is totally fine. Be forewarned on two different disclaimers. One, what I'm going to be discussing may have blood and gore in it. And the second disclaimer is spoiler alert is now in effect. So those that have seen Higurashi When They Cry in the past, you kind of have an idea on how this entire story starts, where we have somebody just beating the living hell out of his two victims. And it is safe to say that we are getting that exact same introduction again. So we see our main character, who we know as Keiichi, using the bat, and he is just like swinging away at his victims. And that is something that we will kind of get into later. For those that have seen Higurashi in the past, please bear with me. I don't want to spoil it for those that have never seen Higurashi before. And for those that kind of have seen Higurashi in the past but just don't understand why, I just kind of want to spare them of the spoilers. So after we kind of get like our small title of an opening credit, we see our main cast of characters. We see Keiichi, we see Rena, we see Mion, and they're all getting ready to go to school. Now, the one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is the time setting. The year is 1983, so we're not in the modern time, we're not like in the very futuristic. We've gone back to the 80s a little bit. So the first day is June 10th, 1983, and keep in mind on those dates because those dates are going to matter later in the future. And and a little bit of this episode is kind of a fun episode. We're just talking a little bit about where Keiichi has been. He was out for a funeral for a couple of days. He's meeting with Rena and Mion as they get ready to go to school. What I found funny is, as soon as we get to the school, Keiichi was quick to point out of another character, Sakoto, and her little traps. He points out that there is a normal blackboard eraser just sitting at the top of the classroom door. As soon as you open that door, that eraser is just going to come right on his head. And on the handle, these type of doors, for those that don't know, these types of doors are kind of like the slider doors. So as soon as you would stick your fingers in, there were thumbnails and tack on tape. So you would grab it and immediately your fingers would kind of get a little pinch from those thumbnails. So Keiichi was kind of quick to point that out after Mion said something. And continuing walking to the classroom, he misses this rope that was tied off, resulted him to fall over. And this is where we get the introduction of two more characters by the name of Sakoto and Rika. Now, even though it may not seem like it, keep in mind on these characters because these characters are going to mean something later in the future. So we fast forward 2 days. It's Sunday, June 12th, 1983. And it's just a casual get together with Mion, Keiichi and Rena, and I just kind of like this little scene where we see Rena, she's holding like all these bento boxes of food that she made, and Mion says, you have to take responsibility now because look, she overdid it with the food. And he goes, yeah, okay, I guess I'll take responsibility. And Rena, she's so clueless. She's like, responsibility for what? And walking through the town, they sit right by the shrine, and you have Satoko just kind of giving her little sass of, what are you doing here? You can't be here. And Rika, she kind of defends Keiichi, saying, well, it's a public place. Everybody can come in, you know. They can come in and they can do a picnic, because that was the goal, was just to kind of have a little picnic. And Keiichi invites Rika in, and Sakoto, she just kind of has this little pouty face and attitude going on, and she sits right next to Keiichi, and they just have what I like to call a little food war. They're like taking all these chunks of foods and saying, oh, this is really good, you can't have it. Or she just cries like, I can't believe you did that. Moments like this in Higurashi just makes me like buckle down, suck it up, and just enjoy it, because these are just cute little funny clips that happen in Higurashi. If you want something that's very lighthearted, Higurashi is not for you. But every story arc that we get in the Higurashi series will get these kind open moments, and it's just to warm us up with everybody's characters and personalities. After the event of the picnic is over, Rena asks Keiichi to go with her to look at something, and it turns out to be a kind of what you call like a big junkyard. And she says she's looking for something, and he was planning to kind of go down and walk with her right on top of the trash and everything, and she says, oh no, it's okay, you can stay there. Like, okay, well, obviously you know what you're doing, so we'll just leave you to it. Keiichi then meets a cameraman who first startles him. His name is Tomitake, and he is a freelance photographer, and he comes by the town of Hinamizawa once in a grand while. And being a freelance photographer, he just takes pictures of landscapes, wildlife, nature, so on and so forth. And when you think this conversation does tend to be normal, it in fact does not, because Keiichi makes a joking point that Rena is searching maybe like a dismembered body part or something, but he just kind of jokes about it. But little did he realize that the photographer said, well, they're still missing that arm. It was very gruesome, you see. And before they can get a little bit deeper of what the photographer meant, Rena comes back as Tomitake bids them goodbye. And Rena says that there's this Kintekun statue that she really wants, and he's just so quote-unquote cute, she just really wants it. Keiichi then asked what was going on in this exact property that they're on, and they were planning to build like a dam here. And what was kind of freaky, and what we're finally getting to the point of Higurashi, is he asked Rena if something major happened here, like an accident or a murder, and then really quickly she said, I don't know. Like, wow, okay, that was a real quick answer. And her excuse for that answer is she only moved to Hinamizawa a year ago, so she has no idea what happened before she moved in. But it's just how she said it that just makes us as the viewers go, okay, obviously something freaky is going on. So after that scene, we move to Monday, June 13th, and we just get another fun little scene with Rika, Sakoto, and Rena, and everybody just kind of hanging out in the classroom after school, just doing whatever it is that they normally do. Again, just to kind of give a quick comic relief before the big events occur. And they just play a little scavenger game of trying to find this permanent marker, and if Keiichi finds it, then his face won't be drawn by the permanent marker. And it was just kind of a fun scene just to get a little break from everybody. Rena then says she's just tired and she don't feel well. She's gonna go to the nurse's office and she's gonna go home for the day. Keiichi and Mion both walk home, and this is where Keiichi asks Rena about the dam that was supposed to take place. And she said it was demanded for the construction to be stopped. They hosted sit-ins and held big protests for this dam to not be created. And which, you know, does kind of make sense, because you don't want this dam to just like break and then it's gonna flood your homes and everything. And the government around Hinamizawa area, they did not budge. They did not want to stop this project, and it just got really nasty overall. But of course, in the end, the villagers of Hinamizawa, they were able to bring in signed petitions to the big corporations and the government, and thanks to all that work, the project was canceled. And Keiichi then asked Mion if anything else weird happened, such as assaults, murders, dismemberments, anything like that. And we get that same reaction again with Mion, just like how we did with Rena, where she says, of course not. It's like, okay. Well, that was kind of quick. The next day is June 14th. From what it seems like it was just a normal day, no big events took place. And after just a quick few cutscenes from it, we move to Wednesday, June 15th. It's like, okay, so it's kind of nice that we see a little bit of a break on what is happening on certain days. So here we are on Wednesday now. Keiichi found Rena in the dumpster again, and she kind of turns around and she just has a little freak out, and she's asking him, why are you here all of a sudden? And she's startled. She's very startled that Keiichi was here, and he answered her yeah, the Kintekun doll that you wanted me to help you with. And she's like, oh yeah, oh okay. And I just kind of like to see how she just gets flustered a little bit, where she's like, oh my gosh, Keiichi-kun came and he's gonna help me get this Kintekun doll out. So she moves him over where the Kintekun doll is, and he's starting to pull trash up one by one to help her out with this. And after quite a bit, he falls on his back, just tired and just trying to get his energy back, because that was a lot of the stuff that he was moving. And Rena says that her house is close by. She's gonna go get some barley tea for him. So she leaves the scene, leaving Keiichi alone. And we get to where we're finally getting into the punchline of Higurashi when they cry. Keiichi notices a pile of magazines and books that are tied up. He goes to grab these books, and untying it, these books look like news article books. And he's reading the front headline where one caught his eye, where it says a construction worker was lynched, murdered, and dismembered at the Hinamizawa dam construction site. So this is where we get the green light that something did happen at this dam construction site. And behind him, little known to him, is Rena holding her machete in her hand. And this is where the episode ends. Now, I was so pleased when I heard the original opening song become the end credits for episode 1. I was so excited, because I was kind of wondering, what are they going to do with the opening theme? What are they going to do with the ending theme? And I just love how those that have been exposed to Higurashi when they cry in the past, they get a revisit of the opening that kind of started this whole nostalgic turn for those that are familiar with this show. I was really happy to hear the song again. As soon as I heard just that certain 3 beats in the song, I said, no way. That is awesome. I really love it, because it does keep to the theme of Higurashi. Oh, one more thing I forgot to add is right at the end of the end credits, we kind of get a little cliffhanger scene where we're zooming out and we see Rika, and her eyes are just bright evil red. It's like, okay, that was a little crazy. So what a great way to start off October to watch the very first episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Fall is my favorite season. Halloween is my favorite holiday on the top 3 list. And I'm just really excited. It did bring me back a little bit on the predecessor when I first was exposed to Higurashi When They Cry. Some of the scenes, especially at the beginning, kind of did make me like cringe a little bit, bringing that horror aspect back. And it takes a lot for me to just squirm. Squirm is the word I'm thinking of. I was just squirming when I saw a little bit of the opening, especially with the neck and the scene where we see Kenichi and he's cutting himself. That's gonna come later in the future also. I can't recall, did that scene specifically where Kenichi scratching his neck occurred in the very first Higurashi When They Cry episode? Think back on its predecessor. I don't really know. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, and maybe I should have watched the series before I started back on Higurashi When They Cry 2020. That's my fault right there. But this episode is really good. I like how we sticked with the with its predecessor. I know there is a When They Cry Higurashi game out, and this game is kind of like a visual novel game, and I have it sitting on my Steam, but unfortunately I haven't really seen any chances on playing it yet. But I do want to play it in the future. Maybe I'll do a walkthrough of it, even though it might just be boring watching me play it and just reading it, where you could just probably do a walkthrough on YouTube. I like how we started. I like bringing that nostalgia back of the opening theme. That was a big surprise to me. I wasn't ready for that, and I'm so glad they did. So thank you guys so much for listening to my review of episode 1 of Higurashi When They Cry. What do you guys think of this? Do you like how crisp and clean this animation is? I thought it cleaned up really nicely. I'm really liking the style. Is there something you kind of want to return to 2020 Higurashi? Is there something maybe you want 2020 Higurashi to leave out? Is this something that maybe you want to see something from the visual novels come into Higurashi 2020? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to Cyntillating Reviews, help me make it grow. I want to see something come out of this. If you want to be notified for personal videos or all of my videos, click on that bell down below. New Higurashi When They Cry episodes will be released every Thursday evening. So look forward to that, and we will see you guys on another day. Our simplest prevention is our biggest protection. Take care of yourselves and others as you practice social distancing, washing hands, and staying at home. Let's get better by starting to make our world better to reduce the spread of COVID-19. See you later on another day.